Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. Duncan Rouleau recently spoke to Cartoon Base about a plethora of topics regarding the future of Ben 10, whether it be the 6th series and what's going on right now, a potential adult Ben 10 series, Ben 10,000 show, or return to Omniverse. Those are all topics that we discussed in prior videos. But today I wanted to talk about the spin-offs that Man of Action wants to create, a potential live-action movie or show that they want to create, and a theatrical film release that Man of Action wants to create. So without further ado, let's get into this. So first and foremost, I want to go backwards here. I want to start out with the theatrical film release. Cartoon Base asked, would you be interested in making a theatrical Ben 10 animated film? Duncan responds saying, yes, this is something we've been exploring for some time. Unfortunately, the timing, will, and finance have yet to align. So quite frankly, if I'm being completely honest here, I'm a bit surprised that we have yet to see a theatrical film release for Ben 10. It was the biggest franchise that Cartoon Network has ever created, right? It had a huge boom in the 2000s and early 2010s. The amount of revenue this show made is absolutely insane. It has mass global appeal to it. It's kind of surprising that they didn't try to capitalize on that even further by having a theatrical Ben 10 film release. Obviously, we had the 2 animated movies on Cartoon Network, Secret of the Omnitrix and Destroy All Aliens. We had the 2 live action films in Race Against Time and Alien Swarm, but they never wanted to make that jump into theaters, which is rather interesting. I think maybe they had, a bad taste in their mouth, maybe with the attempts they had prior to that with other series, but we've seen shows like Teen Titans Go have a theatrical film release and Teen Titans Go to the movies. So I feel like one day Ben 10 could very well have a theatrical film release. If you look at a franchise like Avatar, right? Avatar's having a theatrical film release coming in 2026 called Aang the Last Airbender. It's showing the Avatar cast, Aang, Katara, Toph, Sokka, and Zuko, all aged up to be in their 20s. I could see them doing something very similar for Ben 10. What if before we even get a 6th series for Ben 10, we get a movie just like that in the world of Ben 10 that introduces a brand new alien threat and it leads into whatever the 6th series ends up being? I think that would be a great way to bring the franchise back into the limelight again. But if I'm being honest, I don't think we'd get something like that before a 6th series, just because I feel like Cartoon Network and Warner Brothers Discovery would need to bring Ben 10 back into the limelight again before making the jump to theaters. And what I mean by this is, let's look at the example of Avatar, right? Avatar has the live action series on Netflix. It had it just go to Netflix in general, which had a lot of people talking about the series again. Obviously, they founded the whole Avatar Studios. Now we're going to get, that movie I referred to before, Aang the Last Airbender. We're getting Avatar 7 Havens, which we've talked about on this channel. I'll leave a card above to that video if you haven't seen it. But nevertheless, there's other things in the world of Avatar happening before this movie. So this series is being talked about. This series is in the limelight once again. People are discussing the franchise. There's nothing going on right now with Ben 10. So I feel like making the jump straight to theaters would not work in this instance, because they would need something to come out prior to that so they get people talking about this franchise again and get people interested in it again. Because I feel like if you just make the jump straight to theaters right now without having Ben 10 be on the air for 4+ years, at the time at which a movie would come out, nothing's been announced yet. So at that point, it'd probably be 5, 6, 7 years since Ben 10's been on the air. I don't know how many people would show up to theaters to see the new Ben 10 when there hasn't been a Ben 10 in almost a decade, right? People aren't going to run in droves other than the core fan base, and I don't think that's enough for them to make money on a film release like this. Other than that, another topic that Cartoon Base asked about is spin-off series. They asked, is there a character from the Ben 10 universe that you'd love to explore in their own spin-off series? Duncan responded saying, without going into too much detail, we have explored and developed some of those concepts. Several had a lot to offer the greater Ben 10 universe, and perhaps those will still get a chance. So yeah, not very surprising here that they have discussed doing Ben 10 spin-offs at some point in the past. I remember reading, I want to say towards the end of the 2010s, that there was a Kevin Levin spin-off series that was in development. Obviously, that never happened. I don't know if that rumor was unsubstantiated and fake, or if there was actually something happening behind the scenes and it just never happened. I think that Ben 10 is definitely a big enough of a franchise that it deserves to get some spin-off series. I know one that people really do want to see is a Gwen 10 spin-off series. That probably would be really cool to see. Some people have discussed, let's see some spin-offs with like Ben 23 from, Omniverse and the different multiverses they have, the different Bens from all these different universes. They could touch on that in some series. But the one that I want to see the most, and I made a video on this a few years back, I really think they should make a spin-off series following Grandpa Max. I'll leave a card above to this video if you haven't seen it. A few years years back, I discussed my idea for a series titled Tennyson, and would essentially be a show that followed Grandpa Max during his plumber days, showed how he became this world-renowned or galactic-renowned plumber, how everyone knows who he is, how he knew Vilgax when the original series was going on. He has some sort of history with him, but we don't exactly know what that is. I think seeing that all unfold on screens would be absolutely phenomenal to see, so I do hope one day we do start to see some spin-off series in the world of Ben 10, and I think that the one that I want to see the most is, like I said, Tennyson following Grandpa Max. That would be so cool to see. How did he meet their grandmother, right? She's an alien. How did he meet her? What were the threats that he was dealing with when he was a plumber back in the day, right? There was no Omnitrix out there, or there was no device that these aliens were trying to steal. Vilgax wasn't trying to steal the Omnitrix, so what was Vilgax the Conqueror doing? What worlds was he conquering? What was the threat at hand? And I think that would be such a cool series to dive into and to see what happened years ago in the Ben 10 world before Ben Tennyson was even a thing. Other than that, we do have to touch on live action, because live action is something that I feel like is inevitable for the Ben 10 franchise, and apparently so does Duncan, because Cartoon Base asked, do you see potential in a live action Ben 10 series? And Duncan responds saying it feels inevitable, but at the moment nothing on the horizon. I completely agree with Duncan. I mean, it's just going to happen at a given point. I feel like it's an inevitability that we will one day see on Max that, hey, there's a live action Ben 10 series that is being made. I wouldn't be surprised if one is being silently worked on right now. I made a video a few years ago discussing how, yeah, they could be silently developing a live action Ben 10 series that we all don't know about, but it's happening. And again, I would not be surprised if we get that announcement that, hey, we're making a live action Ben 10 series. But my one thing on this is, well, I don't necessarily have a huge problem with them making a live action show. I would have a huge problem if that's all they're making. So what I mean by this is the timeline of events needs to be the 6th series gets announced, the 6th series premieres, and then they make a live action show. They can't come out and say, hey, the new Ben 10 that you all are looking forward to, the one that you've all been waiting for all these years, is going to be a live action series. That would be an absolute massive mistake, and I hope that's not what they do next, because that would be bad. If they come out and say, hey, here's Ben Prime again, it's the sequel series to Omniverse, Ben's in his 20s, we start watching that, we're enjoying that, we're on season 2, maybe season 3, then they announce, hey, we're making a live action Ben 10 series, and it's its own continuity, not connected to any of the other Ben 10s you've seen before. I don't think that's a huge problem. I don't have an issue with that. That's something that's going to happen one day. It's just a matter of when. Building off of that, Culture Crave asked, are the rights being shopped again for a live action Ben 10 adaptation? This could be a movie, right? It could be a show like Cartoon Base was asking, who knows? But Duncan responds saying, we are always pursuing a live action option, but at the moment, nothing to report. As I said before, to me, it's inevitable that there will be another live action Ben 10, whether it be a full-on series, whether it be a movie like we saw with Alien Swarm and with Race Against Time. Live action Ben 10 will happen again one day. If I had to guess, I feel like they'd probably go down the series route, because that seems like what a lot of these franchises are doing now. We see One Piece, Avatar The Last Airbender, Death Note. Apparently there's a Naruto live action series in development. A lot of these animated franchises are transitioning into live action series, whereas back like 10, 15, 20 years ago, when an animated franchise got a live action counterpart, it was pretty much always a movie, like with Race Against Time, like with Alien Swarm, like with Dragon Ball Evolution, right? It's inevitable. We're going to get a live action Ben 10 series. Again, it's just a matter of when and where, and clearly Duncan's saying we are always pursuing that live action option, so this is something that is going to happen. It's just a matter of when Warner Brothers Discovery pulls the trigger on it and what it ends up turning into. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all of this. What do you guys think about the possibility of a theatrical animated Ben 10 film, a possible spin-off series, and even a live action series or movie? Are you happy with all these potential options, or is there one that you would rather not see? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.